Unforgettable, uncensored, unforgivable. The Unspoken Podcast with Tom Albano, Nick Fodera, and Nick Morgasen on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
That is right. You are listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a cheap seat sports production on the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's episode number 55. I'm your host, Nick Fodera, along with my venerable co-hosts, Mr. Tom Albano and Mr. Nick Morgasen. Gentlemen, it's another week, another episode. Let's get to it.
Five.
Oh, God.
Are you having a complex, or are you trying to say something?
There's a lot of five I've noticed in this episode. Because it's episode 55. We have two 5-minute segments. Our interview is about 35 minutes.
You sound like back in the old days with the Yankees when they used to say two when Jeter was up. All right, it's 2 outs. It's man on second. 2-2 count. Down by 2. This is what it sounds like.
I know. Instead, it's going to be 5 here. Oh, speaking of which, we have a big interview today, guys. We have Schlasser, a.k.a. UrinatingTree from YouTube, who's going to be joining us. He's always hilarious, and I'm so happy he joined us.
It sounds like...
He did not disappoint for this one.
It sounds like the nickname that Nick would have for the golden toilet.
No, the urinating tree is the accessory for the golden toilet. They're symbiotic, as a matter of fact. You can't have one without the other. But let's go into the front page for this week. So we find out that we're starting off with a bit of baseball news. We're starting out that the Cleveland Indians and their mascot, a.k.a. logo, Chief Wahoo, will not be on their uniforms starting in 2019. They're going to start to gradually phase Chief Wahoo out. And
well, they kind of have already, because they've been using the red blue C a lot more.
Well, yes, they have, and there's a lot of issues, and this is only the beginning of the issues that we'll get into later with Major League Baseball. But let's start here. So the Chief Wahoo logo has been a problem, I think, with the Cherokee Indian tribe. That's what they've been talking about. And a lot of people were protesting. And I said this to you guys in pre-show meetings in the past, where if this is a problem, you can go to the Braves with a tomahawk chop, or the Saints or the Angels, or any team that refers to some kind of sentiment. If you're going to get mad at this team, you have to get mad at everybody else.
Well, yeah. Well, the fact that the Indian mascot is red might have something to do with it.
You're right, but at the same time, I think people are making a little too much of this situation. And there's actually an interesting article, I can't find it at the moment, but where they showed the old-fashioned Indians logos from like back in the 50s, where they looked like actual characters. And they weren't offended by it then, so why are they offended by it now? It's kind of weird.
Well, people are starting to realize that, hey, maybe it's okay to speak up against things that are objectively bullshit.
The only thing I see is well, let me reference what Nick was saying. Like, it's not just the Indians. So I feel like, first of all, in the double standard situation, if you're gonna try to do stuff with the Indians, like change name and everything and the logo, then you got to do it with the Braves too. And the MLB is not alone on this, because as the Indians fire started back up, the Redskins fire started back up. And I hear things all the time like, oh, this tribe isn't offended, but this tribe is. And
the Redskins have had a problem forever. So I don't know why people are getting angry at the Indians. I mean, the Redskins logo has been a problem forever. So We're talking apples and oranges, first of all, because people are comparing sport to sport and logo to logo. But at the same time, people need to give it a rest. Cleveland, besides football, is having its best run of sports in like the last 20 to 30 years that it's seen in a long time. Why don't we be happy for the product on the field and stop worrying about the logos and who we're offending at the moment?
But aren't you being a little insensitive? I mean, if this really does offend somebody, I really think you ought to at least try to see things from their perspective.
But let me ask you something. You could change it, and someone could be offended by the next logo that they put out. So you're never going to 100% keep everybody intact. Someone's going to be offended by something, right, all the time?
Not necessarily. I mean, we're picking examples that are very, very, very extreme. I mean, it's a red Indian logo. I mean, the Braves, not offensive, but it's.
What about the tomahawk
This
shot?
is an extreme example, and it seems kind of anachronistic to do that.
What about the tomahawk shot?
That's kind of stupid too, to be honest with you.
Well, or what about with the Angels with the rally monkey? I mean, like, you could go on and on and on and pick all these.
Monkey.
No, but I'm just saying you could go on and on and on and pick stupid things out that these teams do.
If we're going to go in another direction about religion, why not the Angels, though?
Well, that's what I said before, Tom, that basically you could pick any team that has a judicial or religion name.
Just a racial connotation with it, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. And the problem is you're never going to satisfy everybody. And you could change the names tomorrow or change logos tomorrow, and people could find a reason to be offended by the C logo. So you're never going to impress everybody.
You can at least try to soothe the feelings of at least some people that are hurt. And
now, there's one more issue.
It's worth trying. It really is.
There's one more issue here. So they have to be careful, because I brought this up to you guys the other night, that if they don't keep the product in by a small percentage, they lose the license, and then other people are going to start manufacturing that on the side, because if they don't manufacture a small enough percentage enough to meet the license, then the license is up and it goes to somebody else, and then they'll wear it throughout the stadium.
Again, this is not even a social decision. It's a financial decision for these guys, and it shouldn't be. But we're kind of forcing them to have this conversation. It shouldn't be that way. But we could go all night with this one, so let's move on to in other news. So we're in the middle of Super Bowl week, and in that Super Bowl week we have press interviews, right?
Of course.
It goes crazy.
Oh my God, it's Radio Row. And this is, first of all, I don't understand this, because we go a week before. Every fucking radio station has to be there, which is probably about 500 radio stations too many. You only really need the networks, so ESPN Radio, NBC Sports Radio, Fox Sports Radio, satellite with the NFL channel. Those are the only channels you really need. And otherwise, you get all these freaking local channels. Hi, I'm going to interview someone from the Super Bowl. Who are you? We don't know who you are. So
It's what?
Well, you know who we do know who they are. It's WEEI. We know who they are for sure.
Oh yeah, we know who they are now. It's just it's all the softball questions and all the petulant bitching in one convenient one-stop shop. It is.
One of the WEI hosts, Alex Raymer, I think his name is, kind of went a little too far with a comment that he said about the recent Tom versus Time documentary that was released on Facebook. We actually do have the audio of what he said.
We got to hear this.
Let's hear it.
Oh my God.
What'd you think? It was fine. Jesus. It was okay. Just fine? Come on. All right, I thought the first scene was so staged, where Brady's in the kitchen, his kid's being an annoying little pissant.
But what was that for? What called for that?
Wait a minute. Media 101, first of all, when you're on the radio and just in general, when you have the sports rights to a team and you have the exclusivity of interviewing Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, which they just renewed, believe it or not.
Something stupid like that.
So basically, the aftermath context within that audio is Tom Brady cut his interview short because he heard the audio from this guy. And what's his name again?
Alex Raymer.
Alex Raymer.
And I think he's one of the afternoon guys, I think, or WEEI.
Yeah,
and
on the morning show that Tom Brady, you referencing that interview to, sometimes he appears.
Okay. He's like a sidekick, basically. And
Right.
So Radio 101, as I said, because we're all in the broadcasting journalism field, be very careful what you say, including to an athlete that you have exclusivity to on your radio station. Because if he fucks you over, then you're
done.
You're fucked, and your career's over. Now, I don't know if they fired him. I know they suspended him.
Suspended him for a week.
The Monday came, he was already suspended, and that's when Brady said, I don't know if I'll ever do another interview with these guys again. Later in the week, he clarifies he doesn't want the guy fired, though.
Well, here's the problem, okay? So, and this goes back...
Put his genie back in the bottle for that one. He's toast.
Well, All right, so here's what I'm going to say. I have two theories on the athlete controlling the media. One, I feel like sometimes the athlete controls a little too much of what goes on in the media. Now, should he be fired? I think he should be fired. That was not acceptable.
I think so, only because you don't do that to a kid. To a freaking...
Yeah, you can say what you want about Mr. Tom, I fart rainbows and throw footballs, Brady, but don't bring his kids into it.
But I was going to say, that's his girl he's referring to, and she's, what, 5, 6?
Young, very young. And also, here's the problem also. You're costing the station money. You realize that a lot of people probably listen to that interview every week. And besides that, if you lose Brady, you might lose Belichick on top of it.
Oh, my God. You know what? This is all just drama. It always is. It will never end. That's Super Bowl Media Week for you. We must move on now from the NFL and the chaos of Super Bowl week to the NBA. Now, this one was a little bit unexpected. Well, a little bit. It was a lot unexpected. So context is necessary. For those of you who don't know, Blake Griffin got traded from the Clippers to the Detroit Pistons for a bag of hammers, basically.
Well, I don't know if I call it a bag of hammers, but it wasn't exactly the deal they thought they were getting. Now, I need to find that deal because I haven't read the deal 100%.
Do you hear it, boys? Do you hear it? It's the sound of the tank coming through.
Well, if you saw the message I sent to you, Tom, about that Instagram photo that you should turn into a meme.
Oh, no.
Did you see it? It's in the chat that we had during our pre-show meeting.
Oh, God, I got to have a look at this.
And I put a caption. I don't know how to make memes, so maybe you could turn it into a meme.
All right, let me see. Let me see what I can do.
While you're doing that, I'm trying to pull up the trade.
Oh, God.
It's comedy gold. It really is.
Oh, my God. I might be able to do something with that.
I'm trying to see if I can find the deal.
I got to say, though, Tobias Harris? Tobias Harris.
That was one of the names I heard.
I mean, think about it. They could have had Paul George.
They could have had Paul George, but they settled for Tobias Harris. I've got nothing against Tobias Harris, but you're going to compare him to Blake Griffin?
It's like that Sacramento Kings general manager. I had a better deal 2 days ago.
The deal made no sense, which I don't understand. But you know what? And we'll go back to the situation in the offseason where the Clippers put up his number in the rafters saying that he's going to be a Clipper for life.
That's the thing. He got an extension like months ago, and now he's already
No, not an extension. He got a 5-year deal, a new 5-year deal.
But it was months ago, and now he's already gone.
Well, right, because
they were planning on him being a Clipper for life, but they were planning on murdering him. So technically, he would be.
Well, I don't know, but here's what I think. And now you can pretty much, this signals the white flag that they're basically rebuilding at this point, because if Blake Griffin's gone, then DeAndre Jordan's going to be next, and Lou Williams will be right behind, and they're just in a rebuilding mode. And Doc Rivers can now get his wish of his son leading his team.
They are surrendering like Confederate generals at Appomattox.
Like I said, it's the tank rolling through.
I guess you could say the rivers are flooding.
Oh, God.
Oh, come on.
Well, Schlasser came on to talk with us earlier in the week. Schlasser, a.k.a. UrinatingTree on YouTube. If you have seen some of his shit on YouTube, oh, my God. You probably are getting a hell of a laugh. I remember getting introduced to UrinatingTree last year around Super Bowl time when he had the Haters Guide to Super Bowl 51. And over time, I've shown these two the videos of Schlasser and his ways. And, oh, my God, it's great, isn't it?
And just to give a quick preview, because we're going that way to the interview, you'll be surprised if you saw our preview over the past couple of days who he thought the worst commissioner in sports was.
It really was a deep pull. And, you know, it shows you how much the guy does know about sports.
Especially all 4 major North American sports. But he's funny, he's got takes aplenty, he's an interesting guy, he's awesome. Let's take it to that interview right now. Joining us now on the Unspoken Podcast, you may be very familiar with his YouTube videos. We have Schlasser, the UrinatingTree, probably one of the best YouTubers in my personal opinion today.
So exaggerating, but welcome, man. I'm glad you can have me, guys. Glad I can join you.
So how did this video producing madness begin, and what do you think has made them work as well as they have so far?
I know, like, were you starting, like, just the sports stuff, or were you talking just video making in general? Like, there's a couple different answers to that one, I think.
I guess the video making in general, because I've seen quite a bit of everything.
Yeah, I know, like, I started doing, like, the video stuff when I was, like, in high school, like back in 2005. There was a video game that came out. It was called The Movies. It was by Lionhead Studios back in 2005.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good game. I like that game. It's too bad, like, it didn't really achieve its potential, but that's when I really got into video making in general. Like, it just felt like, oh, this is cool. I mean, the editor sucked. It was, like, very archaic. It was worse than Windows Movie Maker. Like, it crashed constantly. But at the end of time, like, it just became something that, like, I kind of, like, got into. Then YouTube came around. I saw something, like, I was into video games back in the day, and, like, there was something called the Angry Video Game Nerd. I saw it's, like, pretty cool. And then you, like, figure, whatever, give it a shot. It's like, they're going to call me a rip-off of them anyway, so did that for a few years. I think I got, like, a couple thousand subs off that. I went dormant for a while. Like, I had, I got tired of the game. I just wanted to re-energize. I didn't really think I'd ever come back to this sort of thing. Focused on life in general, and then, like, I actually came back to it, like, bitching about the election. It's that video. It's just like, oh, my God, you support Trump. It's like, I don't really support Trump. It's just like the whole thing was a fucking mess. But that's what really got me into it. It's like I figured it'd be like, okay, one-off, just go back to it and then just do your thing and get the hell back and go back to life and then get that fire back. It's like, you know what? I like doing that. And then he just kept going on with that and doing this sort of thing. And, like, the sports stuff really just came, like, incidentally. Like, I didn't expect to do anything related to sports or anything along that line. What I saw was, like, I was looking at videos on the Cleveland Browns. Like, I was always fascinated by terrible sports teams. I was always a guy that just saw it as, like, something that you want to see what makes them tick, what caused them to go to that point. And there were a few really good videos on it, but nothing really pieced it together. Like, there was a good one called Only in Cleveland. I think it's like a couple re-uploads are up on that one. It only goes up to 2011, which is sad because that's an outstanding video. And then there's like a recap of 2015, but there was nothing that pieced together what they are now or like what back in the day, the time of Haslam. But, like, that's what I felt like I wanted to piece together. I don't know if I really succeeded in that, but it was just something I felt like, okay, make it into a one-off. It's something that interests me, and then go about. And then a couple weeks later, I see the Jaguars fell apart. It's like, man, this is fucking terrible. The Jaguars, I keep forgetting they're a team. And then you sit there when I'm at work one day, I'm like, you know what, why don't I make a video about it? And then I made a quick 3-minute video, and that's how it really started. And most of my ideas have been sports-based. Like, I never really thought I'd be like a sole sports channel. I figured I'd get into some gaming every now and again, but I find myself not really like bored of gaming. I just find myself very jaded of it. I find there's a lot of issues with it, especially with certain things involving the pay for play, DLCs, loot boxes. Like the whole gaming industry's a mess. Like, it needs to be like purged clean. But that's an entirely different story in general. But I would say that's really how I got my start in this sort of thing, how I really, stumbled into it. And before you ask, I have no idea how the hell I got 115,000 subscribers. I sit there like, I'm just in there, how the fuck did it? I'm just like, really? That's really about it.
Well, I remember the first video I watched from you. I think it was the Super Bowl 51 Haters Guide.
Yeah, I actually, that was the Haters Guide to the Playoffs. I made that one as an experiment. Like, whatever. Nothing going on. I think I remember expecting like about 300 or 400 views on that one. I'm just like, okay, get a couple hundred views. That market's probably saturated to hell. And then like that Super Bowl 51 Haters Guide video is like 500,000 views or something like that. Damn.
Wow.
Damn. I know people like there's like I see like people that have like a couple mil or like a mil. I'm like, how the hell do you get 1 million views? But it's like it's still like baffling.
Do you think you can cross that threshold at some point?
It depends. Some of it has to do with luck. Some of it has to do with momentum. I don't really like to aim for views or like anything like that. What I really shoot for is to try and like make content that either tells a story or explains a case. At the end of the day, I've always been a kind of guy, like I don't care if I get like 100 views or 10,000 views, as long as there are people that enjoy the product and as long as it's something that is either informative or humorous or anything along those lines, like something that explains a case, then I'm okay with it. So I'm not really worried about the views per se.
So I have to ask, where did you come up with the names UrinatingTree and Schlasser and everything? Where did all that come from?
Well, Schlasser, I think I just came up like randomly as a rambling effect. Like I forget how I came up with that name. But so like your guess is honestly as good as mine. UrinatingTree, I remember coming up with that name like I think it was like 15. And then I was playing Xbox Live one day. It's like, it would be a funny name, UrinatingTree. And then I just picked up on it one day. I came up with it, and I guess it stuck since. I mean, so it's obviously it doesn't have this amazing mythos. It doesn't have, like this aura of like, oh, I piss on sports teams, so I call myself UrinatingTree. No, it's not that at all. So
I mean, they do say that some of the best people who get a lot of views don't really want to reveal their real name anyway. So I guess it's just a way to keep them.
At the end of the day, I ended up revealing my face, unfortunately. So, at the end of the day, it's that sort of thing's inevitable once you get like a certain level of popular. Like even the guys behind Daft Punk or Slipknot, they have their names revealed too, but they're just public figures in a way. They're more identified based on their personalities and their their appearance, not their real faces per se.
Well, speaking of that video where you did the face reveal, I got to give credit to you because you did a congratulations walkout video basically on yourself. So it's like you can laugh at yourself. You should.
To be fair, I might do a legacy of failure on my predictions. They've gotten bad.
Yeah.
They're not good.
Yeah, I'm familiar with your track record.
I think we all are, unfortunately. I remember getting I knew it was a problem once the playoffs last year. Picked Montreal, Chicago. But I felt like momentum. They both won 2 games combined, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god. That was awful.
I'm afraid to go back. Speaking of which, this is to everybody. I'm afraid to go back and look at the predictions we made prior to this NFL season because
I never get any of them right. Not a one. Since we started this show a year ago, we have not gotten a single big prediction right.
At the end of the day, you can go over statistics, you can go over analytics, you can go over momentum, you can go over trendings or anything like that. At the end of the day, playoffs are an entirely different animal. And that's why you play the games. There are so many people that predicted Philadelphia wasn't even going to make the Super Bowl. I mean, personally, I was one of them. The odds are stacked against you. There's always a chance. But I figured they would have probably lost in the NFC Championship. But here they are, Super Bowl. That's why you play the games, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, with the kind of the blowback that you get from fans, have you had any real kind of blowback from fans or Twitter users trolling you? And what's the best way to deal with it?
At the end of the day, you're going to get that sort of thing wherever you go. And that's the way I've always seen it. You have to come in. If you're going to put yourself out there, if you're going to put your videos out there, you're going to have to expect people giving you shit. It's an inevitability. The real thing you really have to do is either, play along with them or just, ignore it. Because if people like that are looking for, they're looking for a reaction. They're looking for, just something to go off of. And once that ball starts rolling, you get those reactions. You're going to keep getting this sort of people. Look at a guy like EDP. He gets trolled to goddamn oblivion. There are times where he's flipped out on them. There's times where he's left the internet. I mean, as I said, that's why people have opinions. There are people that think I'm probably the worst YouTuber ever, and that's fine because I've always been under the impression they have as much of a right to shit on me as I have a right to shit on their team. And that's the only way you can really look at it.
I would imagine you get a lot of Twitter eggs, too.
Not really Twitter. I mean, you're going to get, people that, disagree with you, people that hate your shit. There are people that think my voice is a pile of shit. I mean, you can't do anything about it. It happens. I mean, so, they're going to, rip on you for whatever. It's the whole thing of humanity. There are things I hate, there are things I can't stand, too, that other people like. It's human nature. And there's nothing you can really do about that. And if you, try and go after that sort of thing, it's just going to cascade. That's going to create reactions, and that's going to do nothing but negative blowback for you. So that's the way I really see it.
So kind of looking at the state of the sports media in 2018, we see a lot of companies, ESPN letting workers go, Fox Sports, and YouTube being a new medium for putting up media. What do you think about the state of sports media in 2018?
Well, the way I see sports media is that it's evolving. I mean, it's really looking towards like streaming, internet. Television is fading out. It's like what radio, like newspapers before it. Like nowadays, everything I can get is on a computer. I can stream live games. I can look at videos from like anybody. I can look at videos from ESPN, from Fox Sports 1, from like Europe, Asia, Africa, literally anywhere. I could look at any take, any time, any style, and any sort of spin I can look at. You can get like right-wing views on sports, left-wing views on sports, moderate views on sports. Any sort of style you're looking for, you can find on here. And I think that's what the big boys are really struggling to adapt with. ESPN, like, they're starting to, like, Snapchat, they're starting to get to it. I'm not crazy about it, but apparently it's doing okay. It's a start. You have to really adapt and experiment in order to evolve. Because what ESPN's been doing over the past year, and it's not even getting into their disastrous decisions like Robert Lee for Virginia, but they're more or less, they're stuck in the 90s. They're stuck in that ideology that those big personalities are what's going to drive ratings to their network. But what in reality is, like, I can get the same damn thing on the internet. I can get it from, Joe Schmuck from Massachusetts or fucking...
You mean Bill Simmons?
I call it more a Jim Schmuck than a Joe Schmuck, but I mean, as I said, like you can pretty much get it from anywhere, and I think that's what the big boys are really struggling to deal with. And also, what's really killing like those big networks is their TV contracts. I mean, Fox Sports 1 or Fox Sports, they invested $500,000 into the World Cup, and nobody's going to watch because the U.S. is out. You're going to get people that are curious to watch, but that's going to backfire. ESPN's throwing $2 billion per year on one football game per week plus a playoff game. 18 games. So it's terrible business sense. Looking at $2 billion for the NBA. You're looking at about $1 billion for like NCAA college rights. Miscellaneous like baseball. You're looking at a couple $100 million. I think it's like something like over $5 billion they're spending automatically on broadcasting rights. And that's why you're getting all these layoffs. It's not because, like, ESPN's unprofitable. I mean, their ratings are still declining, but they're still doing okay, like, revenue-wise. Their issue is their expenses are so absolutely astronomical that they have to cut costs wherever they can. This is why we get the cookie-cutter talking head shows every single half hour, because they're so cheap to produce, and it's more, like, cost-effective.
Your video on ESPN being a lolcow definitely opened my eyes a little bit, and...
That one hurt to do, especially because, like, I grew up with it. Mm-hmm. And, like, I mean, that was something, you dream of working for when you're older. But when I was in college, I'm sitting there like, I wouldn't want to work for this. I didn't really have the passion to go to ESPN. Because, like, you hear the stories. You hear, like, about how cutthroat it is. You hear about how it's, like, such a stifling atmosphere that it's tough to really... open yourself and really push forward unless you are either a big name or you know somebody. And that's really most media in general, but at the end of the day, it's tough to really gauge. And then you get something like, Fox Sports, where they, like, take all their internet, they take out all text-based internet articles and go straight to video, and their entire, like, web traffic goes down 80%. Because most of the people viewing that stuff are bored at the office, and you can't watch video at the office. Thank you, Jamie Horowitz. I might have to do a video on that in the future.
Oh,
that was disastrous.
Definitely was. So for our listeners who may not be that familiar with you, can you explain your issues with Dean Spanos?
Dean Spanos is he's a spineless worm. He's a guy that pretended to paddle around San Diego for 15 years. He demanded a new stadium. He never really came to the table with San Diego to really, do a joint ventureship. And then he goes off. He does like a ballot. I think it was like Proposition or Measure C was what it was called.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They said okay, we're going to invest $1.1 billion into a new stadium for Dean Spanos. And for if you look at the research on stadiums, it doesn't really have a lot of economic benefit for the whole. It doesn't really do much. I mean, if you look at Cincinnati, for example, they're screwed by it. They've had to cut public funding and utilities because of it. You look at Las Vegas. They've thrown everything to get the Raiders to Las Vegas. That might hurt them a couple decades down the road too. They see that and they're like, no, I don't want this. And then Dean Spanos in San Diego, they decide, nope, I can't do it anymore. I want to move to Los Angeles. And then it was just a stupid move from the beginning because San Diego has no history there. I mean, you can argue the Rams had a history in Los Angeles. San Diego had 1 year in the expansion. They have to play in a 30,000-seat Stalker Stadium. They can't sell out. That move's been a disaster. And it's not one of those things that's like, okay, maybe they're getting momentum. It's not really happening. And it's just like, it was something you could see from a mile away. And that's why you say, fuck you, Spanos, because San Diego got screwed.
Now, is there a specific person or organization you haven't ranted about yet and think you might have to?
Ooh. Another few I got on the bucket list. I would say probably the Miami Marlins are definitely one to get to. Like yeah. Let's just leave it at that. I would say the Edmonton Oilers might be one in the future. Anthony Precourt, that issue with the Columbus Crew, I want to really see how that unfolds. He's like Stan Kroenke, but he might not even get his brand new stadium in Austin. Like, if you actually look into that whole situation with the Columbus Crew, you get into the whole idea that, like, he's sandbagged, like, the promotional market, like, he raised ticket prices, like, he deliberately denied any, like, local investment. So he could say, like, oh, they're not investing in me, I'm going to move to Austin. And then Austin apparently doesn't even want to deal with him anymore because he's too skittish. So that whole thing's backfiring like crazy right now. So it might be something to look at for the future.
Now, one of your most recent videos is on the revived XFL, something we've had a lot of discussion about within the last week here. So briefly sum up your thoughts on the XFL that's revived. Do you think it can do something? You think it can be successful? What is your level of success for this anyway?
The thing with the XFL is it's going to be something that, like, it's a long shot, but it has the ability to be able to succeed. The question is that they have to play every single thing right. They can't, rely on gimmicks. They can't rely on, the whole cross-branding with wrestling like they did last time. If they're going to do that, they're just going to turn everybody off again. The issue is, like, they have to focus on football. They have to focus on, exposing market inefficiencies. They have to focus on, poaching certain talents. They might have the ability to do that with the NCAA if they play their cards right. Once again, going to be a long shot. But if it's something that's like, hey, we can give you guaranteed money, we can give you potential endorsements, we'll give you room and board and, like, training with excellent professional level athletes. We can give you, like, training and development, and we can give you 3 years of that. You can either go to the NFL or stay with us. They can't really compete with the NFL head-to-head, because if they do that, they're done. I mean, like, they're going to have, like, at best, you're going to be a niche product. You're going to get the people that are disenfranchised by the NFL. You're going to get, your San Diego's, St. Louis, Oakland maybe. Like, people that, like, have been just, like, utilized and, like, destroyed from hell and back. But, like, it's something that I'm interested in, but it's something that, once again, may not even get off the ground.
Looking at some of the other possible videos you might be able to do, this is a discussion I found interesting. So everyone is talking about the discussion of Tom Brady versus Michael Jordan as who is the GOAT. And would you actually side with one of them, or have you had this discussion with people?
With Tom Brady? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Tom Brady will go down as one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. That's something that can't be denied. You're going to get that regardless of where you are or what it is. I mean, a guy that wins 5 Super Bowls in general isn't going to get anything that's just like any bad rep. You're going to get that regardless of where you are. The way I see it is that, like, I don't really like to call anybody the GOAT per se. Tom Brady's pretty close, though.
Well, he may have horns like a goat, so we don't know.
Maybe. See, smoking like a true New Yorker.
Jesus, can you really tell? Oh, my God.
I don't know. Well, I mean, you guys said earlier we're from Long Island, so.
That being the case, what are you really expecting out of Super Bowl 52? It's like, is it going to be mediocre, a dumpster fire, a classic? I mean,
I think it's going to be all right. I think it's going to be a tightly defensive-oriented contest. I think, like, with Philadelphia's D, how they shut down a couple of the better Ds and offenses in football, New England's going to have a tough time. But I'm not really all that bullish on Philadelphia's offense, especially if Nick Foles doesn't, like, repeat what he did against Minneapolis. Or Minnesota, sorry. I'm speaking like it's an unlicensed NFL football product. Whoops. But I think it's one of these things that's going to come down to the wire. But I think Tom Brady's going to do, one of those patented Tom Brady comebacks and lead New England to another Super Bowl.
It's like clockwork at this point. Oh, my God.
Yeah. What can you do, man?
Calling Minneapolis like it's...
Pittsburgh, people around here have been so ridiculously salty over the past couple weeks with the Steelers' embarrassing loss to Jacksonville, James Harrison going to New England, and New England making yet another Super Bowl, and then your in-state rival Philadelphia making a Super Bowl. It's been ugly around here. Let's just put it that way.
So the Indians has been going crazy.
Oh, yeah. And that's not even getting into the Pirates, but that's a different story.
Oh. So what would your advice be to people who hate both the Patriots and the Eagles and have to watch this Super Bowl?
I would say either find a way to get nuclear codes, or I would just say, personally, I'd rather know the hell that I know, which is New England. Eagles fans can be violent as hell. They are yinzers, but violent. They will get arrogant.
Oh, God.
They will get pissy. They will get very, very, ridiculous. I remember that video I made on the Eagles. They flipped shit over it. They did not like what I had to say, and they got pissy. That's what you're going to get, especially with with the Eagles fans. So they're going to get people that, flip hell over, the least, the most minute of issues, and you're going to get people that will probably riot in the streets at the end of the day.
Wow.
God.
Well, look.
See, I obviously have a very high opinion on Philadelphia fans. As you could tell.
We actually had
that. Are they going to riot in the streets happily or do it angrily?
Victoriously riot in the streets or violently riot in the streets. It's going to be either way. I mean, it's sadly probably the truth. That's why they greased up those poles so that people couldn't climb them.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. We had that discussion last week. But speaking of Tom Brady and talking about the game and how the penalties, there's not very many. But I'm going to put you on the spot with this question. So if you could fire one commissioner and take his place, who would it be and why?
Ooh, damn, that's close. It's a tough one. Because I know, each one has their... I would personally say I would go Rob Manfred. I would say that because, you look at the disparity between the haves and the have-nots of Major League Baseball. You get a lot of, ownerships that don't really care. They try and tank. You get your Miamis. You get your Baltimores. You get your, Pittsburgh's not, I don't know if you could call this year one of those situations, but in the past, oh, yeah. You're going to get the people that just play along and they don't care. They'll get the revenue-sharing money. They're just going to coast by, and it's one of those things you can't hate the player, you hate the game, because that enables that shit. The only way to really survive, help baseball is with a hard salary cap. There's no way the Players Association is going to agree to that, but it's the only way for baseball to continue to foster and develop. As either that, you're going to get more disenfranchised fans. Get people that are pissed off in Pittsburgh. You're going to get pissed off in Miami. You may not even recover in Miami now. Tampa Bay is having trouble getting fans. Arizona has been having trouble. So, it's one of those things where, get people, it's if you're not going to compete, why would you care?
I would say Baltimore is more that meme where you have the dog sitting at the table and there's fire everywhere, and it's just this is fine.
It's fine. No, I don't know what they're doing. They bought at the deadline last year, and they're not really doing anything this year. Are they going for it or what? Same as Toronto. I'm the same way. I'm just sitting there why aren't you rebuilding? They're
It's a very Canadian
Red Sox division again, man. That's all I can say.
Hey, I'm fine with that because, we're not, us being New Yorkers, we're not really that big on divisional parity.
No, whatever. Well, you hate those Boston flops. I get it. Because one thing Boston needs is it's another successful sports team, right?
Yeah, well, we're spoiled. I can admit that freely. We are a spoiled bunch of fans.
Pittsburgh's been spoiled too. Don't get me wrong. We've had, Penguin success, the Steelers with their Super Bowl rings, Pirates, but Pittsburgh's been spoiled too, and it's only a matter of time before we get bit in the ass and we become,
Speaking of the MLB, what are your thoughts, by the way, on free agency, because this has been probably the slowest free agency period in MLB's history. And
because the owners are tired of paying ridiculous sums of vastly marked up prices. That's the reason why baseball, nobody's being signed. Nobody wants to throw $20-25 million at a Jake Arrieta that may fall off the face of the map. Mike Moustakas apparently has like a lot of issues too. Nobody wants to throw $20 million at him. Like, they're tired of paying these gross rates. And those contracts are fully guaranteed. That's the thing you have to realize about baseball. It's not like the NFL where it's like, okay, you're cut, and then you don't owe a damn thing. I mean, that's why, like, MLB may go on strike again. And it's probably because, like, the players have a lot of power there. But the owners also have a lot of power there. And both sides, I feel like, are at fault. So it's one of those situations where, like, you're the NHL, you're hopefully sitting there licking your chops, and then you realize you're probably going into another lockout too, because everyone's punting away on 8-year contracts that they aren't going to be able to pay.
It doesn't help that next year, you have these big free agents like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado.
Oh, yeah. Next year is going to be crazy. Like, somebody's going to throw $500 million at Bryce Harper. Mm-hmm. And Washington's going to die. And I'll probably have to make another legacy of failure video on the Nationals, which I'm probably going to do anyway. They'll probably, if Baltimore's smart, they'll trade him before the deadline. I don't know if they will, though, because I probably think they can still make the playoffs. Like, they threw all that money at Chris Davis already.
I mean, you could say that there's a failure going on because now all this money that's being paid, a family of 4 can't afford to go to a game anymore. But with all this money being thrown at these guys, do you think guys like agents like Scott Boras are affecting the free agency game?
Boras? I would say, like, he started it in the beginning, but now it's just rolled to the point where Boras is just a side thing. I mean, he helped out in the beginning with guys, like A-Rod getting that ridiculous contract. Guys like, guys in the draft. Like, he started it, but at the same time, he's just doing his job. He's getting his agents, he's getting his players paid. And if I'm a player, I'm sitting there like, why wouldn't I go with him? This man's going to get me the most money that I deserve. So it's been a cascading. And now everyone's just picking up on it. It's like, hey, I can get this money too. And now they're rolling with it.
Which is why when we were talking about the XFL, I was thinking it's kind of genius because the Fox might lose the UFC this year and Fox might get WWE next year on a ridiculous amount if that happens. 2021, MLB might go on strike, NFL, NHL. It's like, God, this is genius.
Every single one going on strike. Oh, if they all go on strike, I don't know if I'm still around then. I'll probably have a field day. Jesus. Or just run out of content. Like, Jesus.
And McMahon would be the only one left standing? Oh, my God.
Well, it depends. Like, if you're going to bring in, like, a bunch of NFL players that go back once the strikes have, like, settled. Because the NBA, I don't know, do they go on strike too? Or, like, are they, like, okay? Or what's going on there?
Yeah, I think the NBA is the 2021-2022 season also, so they're all right around the 2021 season.
Yeah. The good thing about the NBA is their ratings are actually going up in a time where TV ratings in general are going down, so they could still be okay, even without the lack of parity there, but they'll probably be fine.
But speaking of the NBA, what are your thoughts on the Clippers dealing Blake Griffin to the Pistons, and do you think Doc Rivers will actually get his wish of building the Clippers around his son, even though that's completely sarcastic?
I don't know how to gauge that trade because at one time, I don't know if Detroit, you can consider them a contender yet. They've been kind of slumping a bit. Blake Griffin's very injury prone. He's not what he was. But at the same time, Detroit gave up a lot to get him. Avery Bradley's a nice little piece that Clippers could flip off for somebody else. Tobias Harris is apparently pretty solid. So that's somebody you could also build around there. So, like, I don't know. I mean, this could be one of those trades that, like, helps out both teams or it could blow up in both teams' faces. So that's something that, like, Detroit gave up a lot of their depth to get Blake Griffin.
They did.
So that's what might kill them.
See, now, this is a good segue because people have been criticizing Adam Silver for the way he's been handling these things. Who do you think, honest to God opinion, is the worst owner in North American sports?
Worst owner in North American sports. Are you talking, like, now or all time?
Let's talk all time.
All time? Ooh. That's a tough one.
You're a very knowledgeable person. Let's see what you got.
I would say probably in all the leagues, I would say worst NHL owner of all time would probably be Harold Ballard. Like, the ways he completely fucked up the Maple Leafs, the way he's, like, destroyed their history. the ways he, like, single-handedly jacked up ticket prices to the point where they're affecting them right now. He did a number on them. He's actually a really fascinating figure because of just, like, how he destroyed the Maple Leafs. Major League Baseball, I'd have to say Loria, because he destroyed baseball in 2 cities. You can't deny that. He's a cheap ass. I'm still pretty salty at the fact that he got $1.2 billion for doing a hatchet job to, like, 2 markets that may never like baseball again. In the NBA, Donald Sterling, and it's not because of his racist comments, because he's a total fucking cheap ass who never really bothered to put out a competitive team. That's why I felt like he should have been banned. Not because of the racist comments. It was just long overdue by that point. I would say in the NFL, because there are a lot of, like, really bad owners in the NFL. That's the thing you have to realize there.
Exactly.
I would probably say Haslam right now. Because it's obvious the dude has no idea what the fuck he's doing. He has no idea how to run a team. He flips things on a whim. He went full analytics, and then 18 months later, he's like, nope, no analytics. We're going back to old school football. Even though, like, Sashi Brown doesn't know how to draft players, he did get you a lot of assets. Even if those assets became Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson.
You could also say he brought in Paul DePodesta from the Mets.
Yep, Paul DePodesta. He also brought in Ryan Grigson from the Colts because you didn't fuck up that badly, and now you brought in Todd Haley. And saying as a Steelers fan, yeah, good luck with that. He's a firebrand. He's toxic. It's not going to be as good as you think. Be careful. That's all I'm going to say.
And he also took advice from a homeless guy sitting outside the facility, and that's...
Yep, draft Manziel. He's like, hell, I should draft Manziel, and look how well that turned out. Jerry Jones almost drafted Manziel, or almost traded for Manziel until his son literally just slammed the phone on him.
Well, they were probably just sharing the same brown paper bag whiskey, and that's probably what just came out.
Yeah.
And now good luck with McAdoo as well, Cleveland.
They got McAdoo, too? Oh, jeez.
I thought I heard about that. They got McAdoo.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, jeez. Was he the quarterback coach?
Does go in reverse.
I think he's back to offensive coordinator or something like that.
No, I think Haley's their offensive coordinator.
Oh, then he might be the quarterback.
Probably the quarterback coach or something. I'll have to look that up. But
does anybody think that Ben McAdoo actually looks like a 14-year-old dressing up as an adult?
No, I personally feel like he's like the stereotypical, like, creepy phys ed teacher. That's what I always got from him. You know, like, he's like the kind of guy that puts on, like, some gray sweatpants, puts on a wife beater, just slicks back his hair, and maybe has a flask of adult water in the locker room, which is code word for vodka. And I did have a phys ed teacher like that in 9th grade, which, I mean, did not look like Ben McAdoo, but fit the stereotype pretty well.
He also looks like he might have one of those squeaky, not quite hit puberty voices. It's like, come on, guys, let's get to the fucking line.
No, I'd say that's a Rich Coe type thing. I would say.
I swear, the Cleveland Browns, they are the island of misfit toys right now.
They're the factory of sadness. They're not the island of misfit toys. The island of misfit toys would mean that you actually have some value. The Browns do not get value.
No, they definitely...
About the island of misfit toys. You're not forgetting about the Browns. They're that bad. You can't forget about them.
Yeah, the island of misfit toys, I would say, would probably be the Vegas Golden Knights. That's what I would say, more or less. But
oh, yeah. But I got one more for you. So where do you see your next possible rant or video coming from?
Well, I know I've got a few, like, in the pipeline. I know I'm definitely working on a mid-season, like, haters guide for the NHL. I've got a few, as I said, like things that come in ebb and flows. There are certain things that I think have in the queue, and then, like, something happens that chucks them right to the front of the line. Like, for example, with the Ottawa Senators. Like, they were, like, really that high, and then Melnick made his comments about threatening to move the team right before their alumni game. Chucks them right up to the front. So it's like one of those things that, like, it varies. There might be something that happens in the next 10 days. It's like, you know what, I got to make a video about this, and then boom. There it goes. It's tough to really say right now.
That has been our interview with Schlasser, the Urinating Tree. Look him up, Urinating Tree, on YouTube, on Twitter. Great content, great stuff going. Thank you so much for coming out, man.
Thank you for having me, my man. I'm glad I can join you today, guys.
It's a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my man. I'm honored.
Thank you again to Schlasser for that great interview. But, guys, it's main event time. It's Superb Owl 52.
Can we patent that, please?
It's already been patented.
God damn it!
See, it is, but it is, yes, the Superb Owl 52. Whoever, it's like the tagline to Alien versus Predator. Whoever wins, we lose.
Thank you, Schlasser, for that one. But yeah, Super Bowl 52. It's the New England Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles. As Giants fans, we are currently puking in buckets.
It's like Sophie's Choice, but both the choices suck.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't you say Giants and Jets fans are puking in a bucket right now?
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Well, yeah, for different reasons, though.
No, Giants, I mean, let's face it. We don't want to see Tom Brady hoist yet another trophy, but we don't want to see the Philadelphia Eagles finally get a ring.
Yeah.
No.
What is it that this game will come down to?
Each team already has one side that they're at a clear advantage on. For the New England Patriots, it's the quarterback situation. I'm sorry. I get how Nick Foles, everyone has this hype about the 2013 revival after Carson Wentz got injured, but goddamn, he is nowhere near Tom Brady level. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy is, it's almost like someone is the gold and he's like some flimsy piece of paper that has like 1 inch of gold on it instead of the gold.
It's actually rock, paper, scissors, but Brady has a rifle.
All right, that works too. But basically, the way the situation looks is Brady is the almighty god, and Nick Foles is the court jester doing really bad comedy theater.
On the other hand,
I would like you to know, my Royal Highness, what is in my pocket? Is it a pie? Is it a weasel? No, it in fact is the concept of misery.
On the other hand, we have the Philadelphia Eagles and their advantage, which is the defense, which, by the way, I don't get why people are saying that, like, you know, the Patriots defense was so high ranked. I'm like, bullshit. They're a terrible defense. That's just what has exposed the Patriots all season. It has been a crappy defense.
Well, wait a minute. They had to go out and get James Harrison just for the heck of it?
Well, that's because also the Steelers treated James Harrison like shit.
No, but the New England Patriots always have to go pick up the scraps off of free agency, and then they somehow win with them.
Fair enough.
But can Philly's defense pull this off?
Can Philly's defense hold off Tom Brady? I don't know.
Well, if you saw the line for the game, which came out most recently, I think at about 11:45, we're recording 2 days before the Super Bowl. So it is now officially -5. The Patriots are -5.
So we know, historically, all the Super Bowls, in fact, I just found this out yesterday, actually, when I was listening to 98.7. Every Super Bowl that the Patriots have been in has historically been a close one. Tom Brady has no Super Bowl blowouts on his resume, and I wonder, maybe we're looking at the Patriots the wrong way. Is it better to be good than lucky? Maybe it's...
Well, this actually has to do with something I explained at the very beginning of the season and at the beginning of the playoff predictions. All right, so let's take into account the first 3 Super Bowls. And yes, they were great, and they were well, earned by the Patriots. But 2 came at the help of the foot of one Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah, and the chokeaway of the Atlanta Falcons in the most recent one.
Right. 2008, 2012 were losses thanks to 2 unbelievable throws by Eli Manning.
But by the way, did you see that Arthur Blank came out and got pissed off at Robert Kraft?
What?
Because of the 283 carat Super Bowl rings because of the 28-3 score.
I didn't hear about that. Oh my God, that's amazing.
That is. I hate Robert Kraft, but that is some quality shade right there.
That is expert level trolling right there.
I'm the only one who heard that. That was comedy gold right there.
I did hear that, but I didn't get the significance. But now all of a sudden I'm reminded of the score.
Level trolling. And as I was saying, going back to my points, the other Super Bowl to reference there, the one with the Seahawks and the Patriots, of course, the Seahawks probably would have won the game if they had given it to Marshawn Lynch instead of deciding to pass it.
So the Patriots have this innate, I would say unconscious ability to produce the game from betwixt their own butt cheeks.
Right, which is why I made that bold prediction at the beginning of the year and at the beginning of the playoffs that the Patriots were going to go into the Super Bowl and everything would come crawling back up to them. The dynasty would collapse, would have been bitten on the ass. It's going to end. The only issue is...
Wait a minute.
Philadelphia?
But wait a minute. Picking the Patriots is like saying is water wet. So...
That's what I was going to say. The only issue, however, is Philadelphia. You mean not the Vikings, not the Saints, not the Philadelphia without Carson Wentz?
Well, football is like a game of chance because all you're doing is playing one game series. Like in Major League Baseball or the NBA, when you play longer series, the better team is going to prevail just because they're stronger. In the NFL, you have game by game, chance by chance, where you get lucky where a certain team could win.
Yeah. But you know what, guys? There's something fun about this. There can be some fun stuff for us, and it doesn't have to involve, just the food or fantasy, picking players in the NFL Playoff Challenge. There's the prop bets.
Now, context is necessary. Explain to our non-versed audience what a prop bet is.
Okay, so a prop bet is basically... There's all these different little wagers and everything, and they don't necessarily have to do with the final score. It could be anything from the final score of the game that can be bet on to, I don't know, what color is Bill Belichick's shirt.
So let's get into what we've got for this upcoming Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
I love these prop bets. I was just going to say, Tom, that when I showed you made so many weird faces when I showed you the prop bets that I said this is going to be perfect comedy content for this podcast.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's get right into it. Let's do quick rapid fire. All right, everybody, quick rapid fire for these prop bets.
Wait a minute. We got to make a disclaimer though. This is for what was the term I used?
This is for entertainment purposes only. We're not betting real money.
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
All right. So, guys, will Tom Brady wear a bandage on his right hand? Yes is a favorite at -130. No is a plus 100.
Well, here's news that came out. I don't know if you guys saw it. I think Under Armour, and he came out and talked about this during a TV or a radio interview where he described Under Armour making him a special glove to wear.
It's going to be yes.
So,
yeah.
Well, yeah, to protect his hand. So I would probably... For entertainment purposes only, I'm going to say yes.
The over-under and how many times Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth will say Dynasty. Over 2.5 is the favorite at -130.
I'm going to go with 3. I'm going to
go with 3 as well. I'm going over.
This is
This is a dead horse, and they are going to beat it and beat it and beat it.
You know what?
You're going to think that Al Michaels' middle name is Dynasty.
Well, here's what I think. From the standpoint of Dynasty, either they're not going to say it at all, or they're going to beat the living crap out of it. So
I think they're going to beat the living crap out of it.
I think they're going to beat.
You can't say they're not going to mention it. Everybody does. Every time the Pats play in the Super Bowl, they say it.
So, in my opinion, I think they're going to beat the living crap out of it, and they're going to say it at least 7 or 8 times.
Will Al Michaels or Chris Collinsworth say City of Brotherly Love? No is the favorite at -180. I got to disagree. I got to say yes.
You know what? I think that might be one of those things where it's too obvious to say, so I think they're not going to say it.
Chris might say it.
Okay. Next.
All right. Will Donald Trump attend the game, guys? No is the favorite at -600. I'm going to say no.
Has the president ever attended the Super Bowl?
No. He's always called the winner afterwards.
I feel like Obama was the most sportiest president we've had, really.
Right, and he didn't attend.
Yeah. Well, Bush W did it.
He had ownership of the Rangers at one point.
No, the Texas Rangers.
That's what I'm saying, the Texas Rangers. Yeah.
Brady and supposedly Trump have this good relationship. I still say no. I feel like it's too much of a risk for a president to be there.
I say he won't show up.
I don't think he's going to show up.
He'll call Brady after the game if the Pats win.
The length of the national anthem. Here's the big one.
I hate this one.
Pink is going to sing the national anthem. Over under is 2 minutes. Over 2 minutes is the favorite at -180.
See, I want to know where they get the over as the favorite. They don't know how long the anthem's going to be. Where do they have a judgment call on this? Why? Because Christina
Houston is pretty much the standard bearer. She is.
I was going to say that Christina Aguilera was because of all those long notes she held out. So I don't know. This is weird. This is really a 50-50 in my opinion. There's really no favorite.
I'm going to say, like, she's going to go a little over, like 205, 206.
No. I'm going to go with 2:15. 2 minutes, 15 seconds.
You know what? I'm going to be the one party pooper. I'm going to say that they go under 2.
Odds a player in the game is featured in a commercial is 49-1. Do you think a player will be featured in a commercial? I would normally say no, but I've got a stupid feeling that Tom versus Time documentary is going to be mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably going to see Aaron Rodgers doing something for State Farm.
Oh, that too. I forgot. I say yes.
Well, wait a minute. Does that, when you said technicality of player, do you mean, I think it was in the game?
Oh, player in the game, that's right. So Rodgers would not work.
Oh, yeah, player in the game.
I could see Tom Brady promoting, would a commercial, like, for a promotion during a game, like when they do an ad, like if they say, oh, we're promoting Tom Brady's movie, does that count as being in a commercial?
I don't know, but I'm just going to say yes, just because, Tom versus Time. Odds Justin Timberlake makes his entrance via. Get ready. Zip line is 2-1. Car is 5-1. Motorcycle 7-1. Jetpack 15-1. Dog sled 20-1. Parachute 50-1. Field 3-1.
See, a motorcycle would probably be too rock and roll for him, even though that would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but you know what? I'm going to go with an outlier and come up with my own. I'm going to say he's going to appear on the stage via a puff of smoke, like a ninja.
So you're going with the field then?
See,
yeah.
Jetpack would have been awesome. Like, if you could just randomly come in via a jetpack like the future. But, I don't know. Like, I'd have to think about it, really. I mean,
I'm going to have to take the field.
Because Bruno Mars did the entrance via the drum solo. And that was...
Who's the one that came flying in?
Lady Gaga.
That was cool. I'm not going to lie. That was cool.
That was.
And you're not going to top that. I mean, unless you can actually physically build a teleporter and teleport from the stands to the stage, you're not going to be able to top that.
Well, there has been some people for these that have come out from underground too, but I don't know. I don't have anything creative, but I wish it would be the jetpack. So I'll go with the jetpack.
Number of tweets by President Trump on February 4th. Over-under is 5. I'm going over.
Way over.
About the game or about anything?
No, number of tweets in general.
Over.
Considering it's going to be Sunday and he usually does his Twitter spree, I'm going to go 3.
Really?
So you're going under.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he usually doesn't tweet about things that don't. Well, he does, but
wait a minute. He had a whole disparagement over the NFL this year with politics, so he might.
We'll probably do a long one about the NFL, and the other 2 will probably be, other things related to whatever it is he's doing, over the weekend.
What color will Bill Belichick's shirt be at kickoff, guys? Blue is 4-5, gray is 3-2, red and white are each 15-2.
See, here's the problem, though. And Tom, you brought this up to me. If he's wearing his overshirt, his sweatshirt, is that the...
I think that has to count as the shirt.
See, it's probably going to be either, like I said, blue or white, probably, I would think.
I'm going with blue because Patriots.
Well, considering it's going to be an indoor stadium, climate control, he's probably not going to wear the heavy jacket, so I'm going to go with gray.
Will former Eagles quarterback Donovan McNair's vomiting incident from Super Bowl 39 be mentioned during the TV broadcast?
Yes.
Yes, it's 3-2. Yes, it's 3-2. No is 1-2. Okay, we're all in agreement there. Will Justin Timberlake cover a Prince song during halftime? Yes, it's 2-1. No is 1-3.
No.
I'm going to go no.
Nah.
How many times will the phrase wardrobe malfunction be mentioned during the TV broadcast? Note, from kickoff to final whistle, not including halftime.
Oh, that's bullshit.
I don't think it'll be mentioned.
Wait a minute. That is bullcrap. Wait a minute. That's halftime is part of the game.
Not
what
according
is that
to
about?
We're doing XFL rules for this, Matt.
This is bullcrap. Wait a minute. What do you mean halftime? So you're telling me that the NFL gets paid a lot of money and advertisements and stuff for the Super Bowl halftime show, but they don't consider that part of it?
It would behoove NBC, and it would seem like the logical thing for them to do would be to sweep it under the rug. Therefore, I'm going to say no. They are not going to mention it.
Well, here's the thing. So if we all remember, that was a historical day in the sense of it changed the way Super Bowl halftime and any live event was handled in general because of the
FCC complaints.
Right, the whole FCC complaints and the whole breast gate, as they like, because gate is the best word in the NFL.
I should clarify. The over, it's an over-under bet, and it's 1.5 times. The over is 17-10, under is 2-5.
If it gets mentioned. If it gets mentioned, it's going to get mentioned once, and that's
exactly. Yeah, it's only going to be once. It's not going to happen twice.
See, they have to do 1.5 because it could accidentally get mentioned once, and that would be the end of it. Right. But the whole thing I was going to say in the long run is that changed TV forever, because if everyone remembers, there was no delay at that point in time during the Super Bowl halftime show. Now
there is.
There's a 7-second delay. Because of that incident.
Which number will be higher, guys? Kickoff temperature in Minnesota, which is 2-3, or total points scored in the first quarter, which is 11-10.
See, the problem is you don't have a number, so how are you going to know?
You know what? We're going to do something fun. Nick, can you mute your echo?
Oh, right. Okay, go ahead.
Hang on. Alexa, what is the temperature going to be in Minneapolis on Sunday nights?
On Sunday, February 4th, you'll see intermittent clouds and can expect a high of 7 and a low of -1.
A high of 7 and a low of -1.
Well, if they're saying it's going to be a high of 7, then I'm taking the points in the first quarter.
Yeah, I'm going to take points in the first quarter.
Even then, it was a high of 7. It's going to be evening time, so it's going to be lower. So I think either 2 field goals or a touchdown will be scored in the first quarter. So I'm going to go with the score. And final prop bet, which number will be higher? Points scored by the Patriots in Super Bowl 52, which is even at 1-1, or total points and assists recorded by Kyrie Irving against Portland, which is at 5-7.
This one made me laugh. I love the crossover bets because it just makes you think. It depends. If Kyrie Irving's on his game, then I would take Kyrie Irving all day.
I think Irving's going to be on his game, and I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring Super Bowl, but not a low-scoring one either. It's going to be right smack in the middle. So I'm going to go Irving.
I'm going to go with Irving. I am.
I don't know. See, if the Patriots and the Eagles have an offensive smackdown, then obviously it'll be them. But I don't think it's going to be an offensive smackdown because the Super Bowl is never an offensive smackdown.
Rarely an offensive smackdown.
So I'm going to take Kyrie Irving, I guess.
All right, guys. Last things last, and it's the obvious. Who's winning, and what is your final score?
Final thoughts before the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Yep.
Okay. You guys know what this Super Bowl is doing to me emotionally, right?
Correct.
Let me just clarify one thing. With the spread, -5. So picking with the spread so people understand.
I am going to go, I don't like it, and I don't want to see it, but I don't want to see the Eagles win a championship and then lord that over my team for the next, century and a half. I'm picking the Patriots.
Now you're taking them, are you taking them as the favorite, or are you going to take the Eagles to cover that -5?
I'm going to take the Patriots as the favorite. It's going to be a bloodbath. I'm going to say it's going to be 31-14.
Ooh. This is a tricky one for me because I want to say the Patriots, but, my bold prediction at the beginning of the year and at the beginning of the postseason, I said, this is going to be the Super Bowl where everything comes back to bite on the ass of the Patriots and the dynasty begins its epic collapse. But the Eagles? The Eagles with Nick Foles? If Carson Wentz didn't get hurt, I would be saying the Eagles. But Nick Foles is no Carson Wentz. So I am going to go with the Patriots, but I am going to do what Nick originally did. I am going to go with the cover. I think the Eagles will do just a little bit enough, only because the Patriots defense sucks. I don't understand why people are praising the Patriots all around and writing the Eagles off when the Patriots defense has been filled with holes this whole season. So you know what? I am going to say Patriots 27, Eagles 24.
Wow, so you're saying they're going to cover. Okay.
I'm going to go with a cover.
All right.
I think the Eagles will put up a fight, but it's not going to be enough.
Okay, my turn.
But I will still celebrate my bold prediction being right if the Eagles somehow win.
All right, here we go. So I've been thinking about this for a while coming into...
You have to think about this one for a while.
So we got to look at different things. So we talked about the quarterbacks. We talked about Tom Brady, obviously, over Nick Foles. We're looking at the different options. You could say that the Eagles probably have a better offensive receiving core than the Patriots do.
That's true, too.
Guys like Jeffrey and Aguilar. And you can even throw in their running back in Ajayi, who's, as long as he's healthy, he'll pretty much run through the defense. The thing I don't like about the Patriots is that they go like 3 running backs because there's no consistency between the 3 running backs.
Well, also remember their passing strategy. Pass the Gronk, pass the Gronk, pass the Gronk.
Well, right, and that's where it's going to be a problem because they're going to have to double-team Gronk, which is going to leave guys like Amendola open downfield. And Hogan, and that's how they're going to win. But I don't know. It's kind of tough. You could make an argument for both sides here, which is weird because everyone's like, wait a minute, you're not taking the Patriots right away at 100%? And I'm like, no, because you can make an argument for both sides. Basically, what the Patriots, even though they have holes in their defense, they figure out how to take the strength away from a team, even though it might not be their strength 100%. So the Eagles are really a pass team first. So they're going to take away Ertz, they're going to take away Aguilar and Jeffrey, and they're going to force Ajayi to run the ball 25, 30 times in this game, and that's how the Eagles are going to lose, in my opinion. So here's what I have. First of all, I have the score, Patriots 27, Eagles 13, way over the spread.
Wow.
Because I don't see Foles making up the difference because they're going to be sending blitz packages at him constantly, pressuring him to throw the football. And like I said, Ajayi, even though he can be a strong guy at times, first of all, they got him in a cheap trade from the Dolphins midway in the season. And so in the long run, as I said, Patriots 27, Eagles 13, obviously the favorite, way over the spread. And once the score is at least plus 10 by the fourth quarter, it's pretty much clock control at that point.
Stage is set for a Super Bowl. We don't know if it's going to be a good Super Bowl or a bad Super Bowl, but we are going to watch it, and we hope you get some enjoyment out of it. And
you know what? We will also be live tweeting it. We will be live tweeting on our personal accounts, on our Unspoken Podcast account. Stay tuned to our social media accounts for all the updates.
As we get to the end of this episode, you heard this is the end of the football season, but it's not the end of the Unspoken Podcast as we move on to other sports.
That's right. So next week, in addition to our recap of Super Bowl 52 and the aftermath, we begin our 2018 MLB preview.
Oh, my God.
If anything happens and they don't go on strike.
Can you believe that baseball season is finally here?
I'm so happy.
But will it be here? I don't want to have to, spend the podcast talking about IKEA furniture.
Hey, you know what? We could also talk about the Olympics.
And I will give you guys a sneak peek into my travel plans for MLB stadium tours, because I will be doing that again.
That will be cool. That would actually be cool. That'll do it for episode 55 of the Unspoken Podcast. Go like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope, all at the UDUP. We actually did a Left Unspoken a couple of days ago about the Alex Smith trade and Fox acquiring Thursday Night Football. If you want to go watch that on Periscope, go follow the Undetermined Podcast Network itself at the UD Network on Facebook and Twitter. And go like and follow all the rest of the Undetermined Network accounts. And that's going to do it for us. So for Nick Fodera, for Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you on episode 56. You've been listening to the Unspoken Podcast, the Cheap Seat Sports production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.